Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Aaron2for20, and I'm bringing you guys my Baby League Week 4 game versus FlameHorizon, coach of the Minnesota Golden Golducks. I know I mentioned last week, if you guys watched last week's video, for example, that we had ended up being able to play Max Rapture this week, coach of the... I'm forgetting his team name. Coach of the Tasmanian Toxicroaks, that's what it was. So he ended up actually having to drop due to some very, very unforeseen but still very amazing circumstances. So, you know, obviously, I don't want to go into everything here because it's not my place to go into everything for him. But obviously, if you guys have heard, because Max had to drop from like all of his leagues, of course, congratulations to Max. I'm hoping for the best for you. So it was very understandable. It sucked a little bit in terms of having to wait for my game until the very last minute. It wasn't as last minute as my game versus Spastic. This happened like the night before upload though. So this game will be up a little bit later on the end today, but it's fine, it's fine. I'm recording this at like 7 o'clock. I'm probably going to get it up at like 10 or 11. So we were fighting up against Flame. Flame had actually joined in, and I played him this week. So he had a couple of adjustments made to his team. I didn't ultimately feel like it made too many changes to my team, though, however, it did change my speed creeping a little bit. I just forgot to make the speed creeps. But Flame's team is Clamperl, Ferroseed, Diglett, which he picked up, Snubble, Pancham, Houndour, Natu, Cranidos, Stratini, and Joltik. I know he picks up something else, but I remember at least Diglett was picked up over Axew, and there was something else he dropped. I think he might have picked up Snubble. First up, though, I brought a Choice Scarf Aaron. I don't know why it's female. Just like with Tinkershell earlier today in the GBA D-League Team Builder. I don't know why I didn't gender lock it. It's whatever. I have Head Smash, Iron Head, Earthquake, Return. This moveset hits his team pretty damn well. Albeit, it kind of sucks if I get trapped in versus Diglett, and I didn't overly think about that when I had Rock Head over Sturdy, because if I brought Sturdy, I could have very well handled any Diglett spread, assuming he let off with rocks. Or I could have even invested to outsped Diglett, but again, didn't really do that. So that was very unfortunate for me. As I said, this is where the speed creep would help a little bit, but I didn't overly think much of it. Next up, we have Little Borb, our Rufflet, with Bulk Up, Superpower, Brave Bird, and Roost. With the Charty Berry, this set's still pretty much... There's very little on my team that need to be changed. This helps versus things like the Cranidos. I can live any Head Smash it wants to go for, and I can go for Superpower, beat it up. I can take a hit from the Diglett now if it wants to go for any hit. No matter what it is, I'm going to chew it. And I can also even like bulk up versus certain mons, such as like a Ferroseed, for example. I could bulk up versus the Snubble probably. I could bulk up versus Pancham. So there's just a lot of bulk up potential versus his team, and his team is very weak to flying plus fighting coverage. Next up, we have Sticky Boy, our Swirlix, with the Sticky Web, Flamethrower, Surf, and Dazzling Gleam. The Surf is mainly for things such as the Houndour, as Houndour would be neutral to the Dazzling Gleam. Surf just does more damage, also hits the Cranidos harder. Dazzling Gleam hits his team fairly well neutrally, and the only mon that really resists it necessarily is the Ferroseed, and I Flamethrower for it. So, especially since Eviolite is banned, this is going to do a lot of damage to his team, and he has very little answers around it. Next up, we have Blub Blub, our Chinchou, with Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Hidden Power, Fire, and Surf. Hidden Power 5, of course, is for the Ferroseed. Everything else kind of gets bought by the coverage, such as Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Surf. Bolt Beam hits really well in general. There's not much that switches in on it, even less when you also add Fire to it. Next up, we have Crush, our Turtwig, with Seed Bomb, Synthesis, Stealth Rock, and Crunch with the Yachi Berry. This is mainly, again, it's my deterrent to Shell Smash Clamperl, because if Clamperl comes in, sets up a Shell Smash, I can live any one hit, and I can go for the Seed Bomb and guarantee take it out. Even if it's like White Orb, for example, I can take it out, because Turtwig is just a boss like that. I'm able to outspeed pretty much anything that is well, let me rephrase that, pretty much all of his like really tanky mons that would like actually hit this thing really hard, and I can just synthesis up on them. Things such as the Houndour, for example, basically everything that outspeeds me besides the Diglett, I wouldn't want to stand on, and Diglett doesn't do shit for damage to me. So I wasn't overly concerned. Mainly just wanted this thing to outspeed things such as like Cranidos. I believe this outspeeds uninvested Natu as well, if I'm not mistaken. That was the other reason I spycrapped it, and that's why I brought Crunch as well, because it's one of his only grass resists besides like Ferroseed. But again, I have plenty of other answers for Ferroseed, so I'm not overly worried about that. And I believe finally, we have Torchic-Filet, our Torchic, with the Modest Nature, with Overheat, Hidden Power Grass, Rock Slide, and Protect with the Rocky MZ. This is mainly my offensive threat to like everything on his team. His team really doesn't have much answers for Overheat plus Hidden Power Grass, and his one thing that really wants to take both of those is Houndour, and the Rocky MZ, even with the Modest Nature of no attack investment, I'm guaranteed OHKOing any variant of Houndour, unless he's like really Fizz Def, but even then I can pretty much kill it after rocks, no matter what his spread is. So that is our team this week, and let's get right into the game. So as you can see, my opponent brings the Diglett, Cranidos, Natu, Clamperl, Houndour, and Dratini. A couple things to note before the game. One, I actually learned this in the game. Flame actually told me, never mind, he told me right after the game that Natu apparently doesn't get defog. I play around this thing as if it does have defog, and I play a little bit safer with my hazards because of it. I anticipate that his lead is probably going to be Diglett, and I forget what my speed creeping is, so that's why I lead off with Aron, hint of advice. I figured that nothing on his team really wanted to take a hit from Aron, and no matter what, it was just going to be a safe lead. So, versus his team, oh wait, I gotta click back on, my bad. So, versus his team, as I said, I felt like Scarf Aron was a really solid lead. His Head Smash switch-ins plus Earthquake, he had no switch-ins to both moves, to be honest. Everything on his team just kind of got bopped by either Head Smash or Earthquake. I sort of got a little carried away with it being such a win con, forgetting that I don't have Sturdy this week and then I went for Rockhead. So that was a little bit unfortunate in terms of how I chose to play it. But as I said, I did forget to speed creep this thing when he did pick it up. I was thinking that I was going to be fine because Little Cup Mons have like no speed anyway, but I forgot that Diglett would just outspeed me. So that was very unfortunate. And it really matters here because he has a Sash. Had I spec up right, he would have been forced to sack here, and Scarf Aron could have really done a lot of work this game. But once I realized I spec up wrong, I really couldn't have done anything necessarily about it because it's a Diglett, it has Arena Trap, I can't switch out. So very unfortunate, of course, that we did have to lose Aron so early on. That could have been a very, very powerful threat to his team. But it's okay, because we bring in the Sticky Boy, and we're going to be able to live any hit from this thing. Since we know it's not like a Z move or a choice item or anything, or any boosting item in terms of offense, I know I can take any hit from this thing. So he goes for the Earthquake here. Does a decent amount of damage, but still not enough. And with the Citrus Berry, we are able to get ourselves back up. It's really unfortunate because it seems like every week we brought Citrus Berry that the 50% berries would have been better. And actually, no, never mind. This week it wouldn't have been better because we wouldn't have ended up getting enough HP. We're close, but not enough. So it's fine though. We did get our Unburden off because of the Citrus Berry, and we were able to outspeed the Diglett now. He wouldn't have been able to do shit to damage with us with the Sucker Punch. So we've killed off the Diglett, and now he does have to bring in his Cranidos here. So Cranidos is now, even if it's like a Scarf variant, there's no possible way anything on his team outspeeds me. Unless he was like a Scarf Natu somehow with like max speed. I don't even think that might have outsped me. But I made a little bit of a misplay here. I go for the Dazzling Gleam instead of a Surf. Pretty big misplay here, not gonna lie, because we take a lot of unnecessary damage on Swirlix, and of course it ends up costing us our Swirlix, who could have very well potentially even like just swept his entire team from here. Maybe not Clamperl, that might have been a one that took it, but even then we would probably outsped Clamperl because I did speed creep this thing to outspeed Clamperl at +2. So very unfortunate, of course, but we do have Crush here, who is going to crush the competition and take any one hit that we need to from everything on his roster. So he does go into the Godigo here, of course. As I go for my Stealth Rocks, I figured that he wasn't going to bring in Natu on this thing. I figured he was probably going to bring in Houndour. It was almost certain because he knows that this thing doesn't get like Earthquake or anything. I only get Earth Power for offensive ground coverage because I know Flame plays Little Cup, so I know Flame knows his shit. So I figured that I might as well just sack Little Borb here. I figured that Little Borb doesn't do that much, and I figured that Houndour, again, being his switch because I don't have Earthquake, so I have like no way to damage it. So I figured I can always sack Little Borb at that point and then bring in my Houndour counter. So I bring in Torchic Fillet here. I figured that it is pretty safe for me to just do whatever I need to do to kill off his team, because he's not going to anticipate that I have the Rocky MZ specifically for the Houndour, because, as I said, Flame plays Little Cup. He knows Torchic's moveset chances are in and out. He probably knows that this thing doesn't get like anything for physical fire coverage. So I anticipated he probably thought it was going to be a special set, because I ran special sets pretty much every week, besides the low kick last week being a mixed set. So I brought the Continental Crush. I am going for it right now on Houndour. I figured I had to attack what was in front of me. Made no sense not to. And especially because there have been several games I have refused to click Z moves versus Flame, thinking he would switch, and it ends up costing me the game. Hint at my ICBA Week 1 game. So I figured I had to attack what was in front of me. So he's going to bring in Magic Conch here. I know he's bringing this thing in, and he's going to set up. There's no possible way he does not. Even if he does stay in and set up, I'm going to outspeed him. So there is no possible reason for me to want to switch here. Because if I switch, I lose. That is 100% the fact here. So I just click HP Grass. I figured either I lose my Torchic, and he isn't slower than everything on my team, and I can outspeed and kill him off, or he loses his Mon because I get my speed boost up this turn, and I outspeed him because he's only at +1 speed, and I think I would be at +3 now, if I'm not mistaken, either +2 or +3, but I know I definitely outspeed him regardless. So I figured I might as well just stay in. Worst comes to worst, I somehow ended up like having him chew the hit. I was slower than I thought, and then I get crit and I get swept anyway. But I figured if I switched out, I lost. There's nothing to it. I had to stay in. So, of course, now I got another speed boost off, and Flame's team is really pressured now at this point. His team essentially loses to the Turtwig plus Chinchou combination, which is very, very nice for us. So, of course, he does bring in his Sneck here, and I figured I might as well just go for Overheat. This does the most amount of damage to anything on his roster, and even to Dratini, it does like twice as much damage as Rock Slide would have done, so that was very, very nice damage output for us. We were able to get this thing, of course, very, very weakened. We did have to lose our Torchic, sadly, because of the Dragon Rush. Very, very ballsy, but very, very good play by FlameHorizon, of course, as that could have been very, very risky for him. But it's fine, though, because we are going to be fine to bring in Chinchou here. If he's speed invested, he will definitely outspeed us, but we naturally outspeed basic speed-wise, and I was surprised to see that he went the bulkier route this week. I thought he was going to maybe have some speed investment and maybe speed creep this, but it's fine. We ended up outspeeding him anyway. We're like no speed, so he would have had to have like very, very little speed investment, if any. So we did kill that thing, of course. He's now going to bring his Natu, and I figured that I am very, very free to just click anything I want versus this Natu in terms of my coverage, because it's not going to take a Surf overly well. It's not going to take an Ice Beam overly well, which is what I went for in the end, because Ice Beam hit his team fairly well. Even if he went for, let's say, I'm not sure. Let's say he went for a Calm Mind or a Roost. I figured Ice Beam was my ultimately best bet, because had I Volt Switched and maybe he was like a Wakan Berry and I had to sack Turtwig, that would have been very, very unfortunate for my Cranidos problem, as he could have just freely clicked Earthquake versus me and that would have been game. So ultimately here, I decided I'm just going to click Ice Beam again. I figured that was, again, my best way to damage the Natu, and sure, he does have Tailwind up for the Cranidos, which means he's going to definitely outspeed my Chinchou, but no matter what his Cranidos has, he cannot break my Turtwig plus my Chinchou. There's no possible way around it. Unless if he was like a Z move, but I figured that he wasn't going to possibly be able to do that. Even then, I could probably take enough time to the point where Tailwind will run out, and I'll just kill the Turtwig. So he actually goes for the Earthquake here, and he does a lot more damage than I anticipated initially. And then I realized I was Def Chinchou this week, because every other week I've ran at least some sort of physical-ish variant of Chinchou. So it was very, very unused to having like no Fizz Def, as again, like week 1 I ran Shucko with Fizz Def. Week 2 I'm fairly certain I ran like a Fizz Def spread again. So sadly we did lose our Chinchou, of course, but it's fine because we still do have Turtwig at a fairly decent amount of health. I figured no matter what, I can just kill with C-Bomb here. It's either I kill with C-Bomb or he crits through me and hits me with Earthquake and somehow kills me. So I do go for the Seed Bomb here, and of course we're able to pick up the narrow 1-0 victory versus FlameHorizon. We're now 3-1 in the Baby League. I think we're 3rd or 4th place right now. I'm not sure. Standings have not been updated for week 4 as of me recording this, but very good game to FlameHorizon. Gave my team a real run for its money. As I said, really should have spec up to Aaron in terms of when he made the free agents midweek. I figured I was fine, but I forgot to check my speed tiers, and that was definitely on me. It almost cost me the game as Aaron. As you see, with Head Smash plus Earthquake, could have been a very big threat to Flame's team, and I feel like that was definitely an oversight on my part. I will look into that for future weeks, for this league and any other league next time that happens. But if you guys did enjoy, of course, leave a like down below. Next week, we're going to take on the Don Fanatic, coach of the... I know it's a Skitty team. I cannot remember it to save the life of me. I'm awful with team names, guys. I'm going to open up the doc real quick so I can get it, because it's actually kind of bothering me. It is the Norwich Skitty. I was thinking Norwich Skitty, but that sounded weird to me. But yeah, we're taking Don Fanatic in the Norwich Skitty next week. He's a very, very fun team. I cannot wait to play him. If we win the next 2 weeks, I'm fairly certain we clinch playoffs. Maybe even if we just win next week, we might clinch playoffs. I'm not overly sure. I'm going to check the standings, though, and I will get back to you guys at the beginning of the next video. But yeah, I mean, it's great that we're actually winning in the league for once. I will see you guys tomorrow in our next video, which will be our GBA D League Week 4 game versus Turbo. See you guys later. Peace out.